My name is Blanco, the elves sister, and today I'm reading Saturnastra Nalini. This is chapter 10, part 1. Another lesson. It took the elves a few weeks to figure out that I was serious about leaving them alone, and I started going on long trips outside of Nemorensis, and I simply limited myself to looking at the world from the sky. And when the night started to descend, I would return to Nemorensis to be in the forest, and at other times I would spend my time with my knights or with Vaikus. And when I got bored, I would spend time singing to the fairies or to the guppy elves, as I've grown to call them. And by the end of the week, the elves asked Canon to appeal to me, and even I found this gambit a little pathetic. And with this day, look, Canon made his way to the tree I like to perch, and the tree gave me a good view of the outside forest. And as usual, I was allowing the wind to gently rock my crimson wings, and whenever a strong gust would come, I would release some of my spores, and I became aware of Canon's presence when I heard him sneeze, and I turned around and saw that he was a few branches below me. And he was currently in his tiny bat form, and based on what I had seen, Canon was composed of a puma, a human, and a bat, and rumor had it that he was a male sphinx or sort. And it was rare for a male sphinx to use magic. It was even rarer for it to be able to split into 3 separate forms. And so far I only seen him wandering in his black armor modeled after a puma and the bat, and at other times he was separated into 3 entities. As it was his bat form annoying habit, Canon perched on top of my head, and he said in a squeaky voice, "Your pets miss you. It is either my way or the highway," and they chose the highway, I said, frowning. And I tried in vain to shake off the bat that had firm grip on my antennas, and we said nothing to each other for a bit. It was Canon who broke the silence. "You express yourself so cryptical, and in this respect you are the same as your brother. Look, I cannot force you to pay them attention. They are pathetic. They are drawn to you like moths to a flame." Ironic, me being a moth and all, I noticed. "You don't really own them anything," he commented. "Still, it was cruel of you to give them false hopes." "I didn't give them anything. They simply read too much into my actions. It was childish for them to imagine that I would become their light, and even now they still like torches in your darkest hour. They are like frightened children still afraid of the dark," I said ominously. "Again you jest, dear Nalini," said Canon, laughing. "Some habits are hard to break. Still I worry. They must be made to understand the errors of their way," I said, sighing. "You can't teach all dogs new dreams, Nalini," commented Canon. "At times like this I thought of taking the easy way out. It would be so easy to simply make them sink my way. Still that would be a hollow, empty victory." And I glided back down gently. And the 1,000 elves that I was training were waiting for me beneath the tree, and the 5 dark elves greeted me with the usual reverence they showed their alpha seal. And their foolish loyalty struck a chord in me, and they have been conditioned to obey, to be served out to a higher power. And I realized that it would take many generations to stamp out into their souls my beliefs of self-determination and freedom. Looking sadly, I asked, "Do you truly want to be here?" "Yes," they all said in unison. "Why do you want me? Why do you want to be with me?" I asked them. "Speak plainly." "You are exotic," said Nalini. "'Cause my brother's an idiot," said Cashmere with disdain. "You are the lesser of 2 evils," said another elf. And so forth. I had 1,000 responses, and for brevity's sake I will list the top 5 reasons for following after me. Reason number 1, you are the lesser of 2 evils. Number 2, somebody dragged me into this mess. Number 3, you are exotic or a new trickster goddess. Number 4, the elf forest is going down here. Number 5, I am a spy for the alpha seer. The other ones are spies. I only did what I did because of some stupid sense of duty or whatnot, and my brother was counting on me, and he acts so tough, but he breaks easily. Plus he has a certain way with words that makes you feel guilty about being selfish and stupid, I explained. Long story short, I am trying to overcompensate for my failure, to claim Nalini as my own personal placing, and it is pathetic, I know, but I am only human, okay? And like Casimir said, "Why do you keep saying that you are human?" Cause that's what I am. There are some things I'm not supposed to say, like Santa Claus really exists, and all the dogs really do go to heaven, and there's no more hell. See top secrets, I snapped. And again, the strange things I said did not make any sense to them. However, I had the eerie feeling that Mother was angry at me. Although can't believe that I was jesting, since he was cursed with the truth. Somewhat nervously, I asked them, so what do you guys want to do today? And a bit bashful, the youngest member of the choir, he said, admitted, I don't know, what do you want to do? No, what do you guys want to do? I said, giggling. Mary... Suddenly, I was doubled over in pain, and I saw my insides were about to burst, and I held on to my sides in a vain attempt to make the pain go away. Time, bro?
9 minutes, 30 seconds.
Combined with this pain was a terrible fear that made each shattering breath more painful, and I think I fainted or went insane for some time, and when I came to, I didn't know where I was. Over me, I saw the roof of the cave, and water dripped from its pointy rocky surface, and from time to time a water droplet would fall on my forehead, and the walls were completely covered with rooms, and I had a familiar voice behind me. You are still a bit unstable, try not to move. This is just messed up. What happened? I asked the familiar voice. A temporary lapse in insanity. Nothing too serious, said the familiar voice. I feel different, I said, glancing about in a vague attempt to see what had become of me. It was the other Nalini, said the voice. It was foolish for you to underestimate the strength of your bond. I said nothing. Another voice said, if you want something, you need to be more careful. I need to get back, I said, to the place I was before. Relax, said the voice. When I closed my eyes, I tried to focus my mind to see what had happened with my temporarily lapsed insanity. I saw myself flying into the sky. I flew higher and higher in the direction of the sun, and the speed in which I flew was causing friction with the atmosphere, causing the wings to get burned. And when I could finally see the roundness of the world, I spread my wings, and they became larger and wider, and as they grew, they changed color, and they became crystalline and transparent. And a voice that was not my own said, die, be gone with this cruel world you love so much. And as the energy began to gather, even my own form started becoming pure white, and a black shade fell upon Nalini, and it had flown so swiftly that Nalini hadn't noticed, and the shade's black wings expanded over her, covering her. And she screeched in a fury, and she started frantically punching and kicking the shade until it released me. And despite giving up, she continued to force me to gather energy. And the speed in which she gathered this energy was threatening to destroy me from the inside out. And everything became pure white as I started to self-destruct. And the flash of light went away as quickly as it came. And like a shade, the other Nalini disappeared. Though Vaikus had succeeded in stealing a part of her life, in stealing her light. When the memory from the familiar voice said, you shouldn't be so reckless. As you are now, your powers of regeneration are limited. I spent for a time getting a little bit of maintenance, and when I awoke, I was inside a different cave. Time, bro?
6 minutes, 30 seconds.
I made some motions to make certain that I was more or less in one piece, and much to my notice I realized that my robes had gotten badly damaged, and only a small fragment remained, and the roundness of it I fashioned into a cape, but with a hood, and I figured it went well with the blue dress that I was sporting, and the skirt was just over my knees, and around my waist I had a simple black belt. As for my physical form, whatever moss there was in me had gone away, and I still kept the red eyes and the long blonde hair. And my hair was combed back and held by a black ribbon, and my face had regained some of its original proportions, more or less. What caught most my attention was the bracelet around my wrist, and the frame of it was silver with gold mood frame. And it was designed after a muslin bracelet with a thin chain connected to the bracelet with a silver ring, and the ring had a tiny amethyst stones. As I walked out of the cave, I was greeted by Vaikus. He smiled and he gave a slight nod in his typical salute, and I responded by hugging him and said, oh, thank you for getting me out of that mess, friend. And he kissed my head and he smiled, and he led me out of the dark cave, and I could see the light over me, and whenever a gust of wind would pass by, the roots released a bit of dust, and when I made it outside, the sunlight wounded my eyes, and it had been months since I had stared at the sunlight. Hesperi was the second person to notice my return, and she asked, "So that's where you've been. And it's a pity your petals kept looking about you high and low kept looking for you about when you have been laying hidden below." "How are they progressing?" I asked. "Go and see." I made my way to the center on Nemorensis, and I said to my friends, "I'm back." The elves ran across the forest, giving the news that I was back, and everyone gathered to see my return, and I was surprised to see the 1,000 elves I was training wearing crystal armor. As for my knights, they had all graded to opaque blue facet corundum, and I said to my new knights, "Do you finally understand?" "Yes. There are some things that cannot be forgiven," they said in unison. And my blue knights removed their masks, and for the first time the other elves were able to see their faces, and they were shocked to see that my knights were also elves as well. And I asked my knight, did they suffer a lot, and did they suffer enough? "Not quite. They still require a little bit more punishment," said Alpha, my sapphire knight of first. "Yes, they must be made to suffer," said Alpha in the turn. Alpha sat down on the floor, and she motioned the others to do the same. And she always liked to tell stories. Speedily she had learned terrible narration from me, and when they were all sitting down, she said, "Time, bro?"
3 minutes.
Long story short, long ago, our parents used to sacrifice us to the god Lara. And Nalini's mother felt sorry for us, so she said that using her power. And she raised us on her own, and we consider Nalini our older sister. And since she was coming here, we jumped to the opportunity to revisit the land that we used to call home. "That makes sense," commented Amir. "Still, why torment us? Why not just tell us the truth? And many would not have been made to suffer if you had said the truth from the start and actually done something about the sacrifices." Giggling, Alpha said, "You still don't get it, do you? You think that all the problems could be solved by talking about it. Don't be so naive. Only true changes come through the sword." I said to the crystal knight, "I'll be heading out. I'm going to claim what is right for me in mine, and look after the house while I'm away. Take care." And I started walking away when I heard Casimir say to the other, "This is not going to end well." And Amir and his sister, "What do you think of those elves?" "I don't know. They all have a mad look in their eyes, very similar to that Nalini's, and I suppose that her mother's to blame, her creators are to blame," she commented. "Time, bro?"
2 minutes.
I know their comments they made about me and my mother, and even I must admit that she was a tad insane too, even by my own people's standard. And I made a motion to my sapphire knight, and they went ahead, and I skipped out on Nemorensis in a merry sort of way, and the red hood that I wore expanded into thin dragonfly-like wings, the color red. And as it vibrated, it sounded like the buzzing of a bee, and I ran a bit and fell for the strong current and took flight, and the usual black shade and Vaikus followed behind me. And as I traveled back to the elf forest, foreboding reports swept through my mind, and according to the Sapphire Knights, about 7 months ago, Nemorensis started receiving elf pilgrims, and a good number that were midway were intercepted by berserkers or elven assassins, and there was also reports of a strange half-elf berserkers who had taken a residence in the forest, and for what I knew of elf culture, elves did not too fondly on hybrids or just about anyone who wasn't 100% pure elf, and the fact that they were there did not sound too promising. The foreboding thoughts made me pick up my pace. "You're almost out of time," yelled a familiar voice in my head, and everything passed by a whirl, and I could hardly perceive my surroundings, and when I arrived at this elven forest, I flew up in an arc, and when I was able to see the roundness of the world, I crash-landed to the ground, and the more speed I picked up, the more friction I created, and for those inside the forest, it seemed like a shooting star had fallen, and Vaikus too imitated my arc. And indeed, I did crash-land through the underground cavern where the dark elves used to reside. Alright, let's leave it here. Bye-bye and